everyone says things are different with the second child. And I could tell that was going to be true right from the start. During my first pregnancy, I toured every birthing center within a 30-mile radius of my house. I knew where I stood on the key issues, such as circumcision and sleep training, had done enough research on strollers to start my own consulting business. When I was pregnant with baby number 2, I had other things to worry about. I was working. I had a toddler. I didn't have time for indulgences like naps or choosing a baby name. Not only did I not crack a parenting book or attend even one childbirth class, I drank coffee. Don't get me wrong, the second pregnancy was no accident. I bought a Costco-sized box of pregnancy test strips and taken my temperature every morning to chart my fertility. Tears had sprung to my eyes the first time I saw that little pulsing spot that marked the baby's heartbeat on the ultrasound. But as the pregnancy wore on, I worried, not about the new life I was bringing into the world, but about what would happen to our little family of 3, my husband, my son, and I, our perfect triangle. When I found out we were having a girl, I worried even more. What if she turned out to be one of those girly girls who insisted I comb her hair and drive her to cheerleading practice? When my son was born, the first words out of my mouth were, "Hi, sweetheart." When my daughter was born, all I could say was, "Thank God," relieved that the excruciating pain of childbirth was over. The first time I was alone with her, I started to weep, not with joy, but intense sadness in over the change in relationship with my son. I knew that a sibling was a great gift, but I couldn't help feeling like I had betrayed him, that the bond between he and I had been severed when they cut my daughter's cord. And the truth was, as much as I wanted another child, when my daughter was born, I just didn't like her very much. I'm not saying I neglected her, but when I looked into her eyes, instead of that dreamy feeling of love and wonderment I'd had with my son, I would feel nothing. I hoped this would change, but I worried it wouldn't. I thought back to the question my brother and I had always asked my parents. Which one of us do you love better? Back to their incredibly unsatisfying answer. We love you both the same. Even as children, we knew that couldn't be true. Didn't we secretly love one parent more than the other? Not saying which one. Along with all of my other preparations for motherhood, I had wanted to be ready with the perfect answer to that question when the time came. I would ask them, which do you love better, Cool Ranch Doritos or chocolate cake? How can you decide between two incredibly awesome, incredibly different things? But now I wondered, could I answer that question honestly? He had been my jewel. She was my chore. Still, she slept in bed next to me, and one night I woke up because she felt warm. When a baby is less than 3 months old, a fever is serious. A simple infection can go right to their brain, ravaging their basic senses like hearing, vision, or intellect, injuries from which they might never recover. It was probably nothing, but we couldn't reach her pediatrician. It was probably nothing, but we couldn't take the chance. We brought her to the emergency room in the middle of the night, watched her fever register on the digital readout, watched as they started an IV, searched for the impossibly small needle they would use for the spinal tap. We had to stay in the hospital, just she and I, longer than we'd stayed for her birth, in a small room with white walls, with a narrow cot for me and a metal crib for her. And after all the clutter of our home, with toddler toys and dirty dishes, it was so incredibly peaceful, with no bright colors, no loud noise. We were like 2 monks in our cloister, and she was going to be okay, and there was nothing to do but to hold her and feed her when she was hungry and order whatever I wanted from those little hospital menus. And I don't know if it was our stay together in that little white room, or if it was just the passage of time that made me start to like her, start to adore her, start to love her so much I couldn't imagine life without her. I even started to wonder that maybe I loved her more than my son. But I wonder somewhere, deep inside of her, whenever she looks at me, does she know? And if she does she forgive me? My daughter is now 5 years old, but I still think about it almost every day, about that time that I did not love her. And every day I'm reminded what I could have lost, not to illness, but to some irrevocable failure in the bond between mother and child. And I wonder whether it has made my love for her stronger than it would otherwise be. No, you don't love your children both the same. And if they ask me, I don't know what I'm going to say. Thank you.